It's doing its thing. Redirecting to YouTube. Okay. All right, so we're live now. We've got you. Okay, and I'm getting feedback again, so I need to make that go away somehow.
We don't hear it.
I think it's because I've got the YouTube version going and the meeting. Okay. Oh.
Here's a question. When will we be able to meet in person again? We can get rid of this Zoom stuff. Do we know when we can go back, Bob?
Right now, they're working to go back. The big problem with the council meetings is the size of the chambers, et cetera, and getting people in. I think the agenda, the council meetings, I know the chamber's gone live again, and other groups are. I guess the issue with the council meetings is the public, whether there's room for public as well. But again, it's one of those things that just waiting it out.
I
I
wonder if we-
know Kempville, the council is meeting live, but all committees are still via Zoom, and I think Ottawa is the same. Because I was looking to see what others were doing, and that's the
Yeah.
last published was all committee meetings in Kempville are still Zoom.
Yeah, there was something Doug Struthers had mentioned about Ottawa going. I'm not sure the county is, they're not having the public in yet, but they haven't gone. I don't believe the county's gone to in person, but if they have, there's still issues with the public. Who do you let in? How many people do you let in, et cetera. So.
Well, could you not still have the Zoom set up in the council chamber so that you could have
That's what they're,
meet in
that's what
person,
they're-
also have the Zoom thing running?
Yeah, I think that's what they're working towards, is having having that, still having the Zoom going.
Well, we only have, what, 3 more months before they break for the summer, and then it's election anyways, so.
Yeah. Well, and oh, did we lose Helen?
If we did, we should have all been lost.
Yeah, she's gone from me.
Helen, are you still with us?
Gone.
Maybe I'll text her.
We were doing so well.
Yes.
Don't you just hate these Zoom?
Mike, like we've got April, May, June for committee meetings. There's usually that break in July and August, and then everything is dissolved for September elections.
Yeah. Yes, and council goes to one meeting each month in July and August. And there is the lame duck thing, which I don't quite understand, but there's certain things that council can't do after a certain point in time as well.
Yeah, they can't budget, like it's budgetary and financial, right?
Yeah, so you got to get your budgets all done, which has been consuming a bit of time, but it's been going pretty well.
We'll have to start all over again, I think, with Helen coming back. I'm not sure if we're still recording or not, because we're officially not following agenda.
Yeah, it says
I'm
still
counting.
live on YouTube on my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have quorum without Helen.
I see her there.
Yeah. She's just, oh, when I go live with YouTube, I get an echo. I can't figure out which window to close. That's the chat I just got up. Oh, you've been assigned as host, Donna. So Helen, you're still with us?
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Now, yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. I am, but I'm still have apparently 2 windows because the conversation we just had and the converse.
But we can hear you, we can proceed.
I'm wondering, Helen, if you mute until you need to move the agenda along, maybe, or vote?
So she's muted, so. Can I make a suggestion that Helen pass the chair to Donna to get things rolling? Is that, Helen, does that work for you? That works for me. Okay.
Okay. All right, so meeting call to order. Why don't we restart that just because we weren't officially, so it's 7:39. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and nature thereof. Any declared?
No, nothing to declare from Mike?
Nothing from Donna. Helen, do you want to respond either in chat or? It is being recorded. I've got it up on the screen. Do you have anything to declare?
Nothing. There we go.
Okay, nothing for me. Got it. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, let me just move this out of the way then. Approval of the agenda.
I would like to add one item to the agenda if I could. And it's tiny house homes.
But we can add that here.
Could be under,
I'll add it to the end.
okay,
Just in the essence of time, if that's okay.
sure.
After other business. Okay. Oh, there it is, tiny house homes. Okay, so approval of the agenda as amended. Moved by Mike.
Yes.
Can I second as chair, or do we need another seconder, Mr. Councillor Foster?
I would suggest that we need the Helen to second.
So if you can do that, Helen in chat. Multitasking, I'm taking notes at the same time. Helen, can you second?
Yeah, she's wondering what she's seconding.
The approval of the agenda as amended, which is on the screen. Okay, thank you. Okay, hereby resolved that approve the agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Oh crap, I didn't bring those up. Let me see if I can do that. Not that way. Let me try a different way. I didn't bring up the previous ones. Did everybody get a chance to read them?
I've read them. I didn't have any changes for Mike.
Okay. I didn't make any changes because I wrote them. I know you guys all approved them, but I do need approval of the minutes from March 7th, if I'm not mistaken. And Helen, you approved them as well, so can we take a vote on those?
Actually, Helen stated that she hadn't read them.
Right. Well, it's tricky for me to be bringing them up. They were sent out 2 or 3 days after our last meeting. I'm just trying to figure out a way to bring them up without. Let me see what I can do here. Do it. Just give me 1 sec. Minutes. Oh, there they are. Okay, so this is the meeting minutes from the last. Oh, I've been changing them as we go. Okay, that's not going to be helpful. Let me try it again. Oh, got them. All right, I'll put them over here. So this was the minutes from March 7th. I'll do a quick scroll. Helen, if you can.
We've lost Helen. There she is. She's back.
I got 2 monitors going, so Bob, you're my 3rd monitor. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Helen, I've got the meeting minutes here from March 7th.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think I finally solved this. There's 2 browsers. I operate in. I use Chrome, and
Now we can't hear you. We can't hear you, Helen.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I got rid of all the extra windows. I use Chrome. Oh, for Pete's sakes.
Still here.
Helen, in the essence of time, so we can stick to it, do you want to continue on with just using chat, or so we can stick to the agenda and stay on time?
Okay,
I'm
can
trying
you
to
hear
bring
me
up the meeting.
now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm seeing the agenda. Is that what we're on?
No, we're looking for approval from the last meeting's minutes, but you said you didn't read them.
I haven't read them and I don't see them up on the screen.
I'm trying to bring them up on the
Okay.
screen here. I had them up and but I'm on my work computer, so
Okay.
I have to be careful of what I bring up. So I'm bringing them over onto another screen. There they are.
Okay, and that's, and
I'll
I'm gonna try and,
I'll scroll through them fairly quickly because
Yeah.
we're only on the second item of the agenda and it's 10 to 8. So
okay, yeah, let's do this. So, and I think I figured out the problem. I work in Chrome, and then when I go to YouTube, it's opening up in whatever Explorer is, whatever Microsoft uses, Edge. And because I don't think to look there, I end up with the 2 windows open at the same time. So I think I've resolved that. Okay, and so progress council, electric car change. You know what, can we just go ahead and I can approve these and I'll read them after and I can let you know if there's any changes. I don't imagine that there is because you guys wrote them. And
so Mike had already.
so can I just second it and then I'll make I'll
I'll make a motion.
go out on
to-
a limb and just second it now?
Yeah, Mike had already motioned it.
Okay.
And we'll do it that way. Okay, they are resolved from March 7th. Okay. And let me just go back to the agenda for today. Update zero emission vehicle infrastructure program. We have an update, or we want to discuss it where we're at?
I could just mention that I just read, Bob, your email that you just sent
Yes.
about what the council had to say. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it yet, though.
No, I
Maybe
just,
you could talk to that.
Yes, I inquired with Doug Robertson, is the methodology for this committee getting the electric vehicle charging station before council in an expeditious manner, because as we're all aware, the other items from our minutes that are referred to in this as in direction from council re-pride, they haven't got our minutes from the last meeting. So we realized what kind of a lag time. So what I asked Doug essentially was, how can we get this to council if the committee is interested in the zero emission vehicle charging stations? He suggested
well, I sent those out with some challenges,
yeah,
but weeks ago.
Yeah, those meeting minutes went to council.
they did for March 7th,
Yeah, and Doug Robertson and Mayor Doug got them.
but we just approved them now. Like there's a case of you have your minutes and your minutes are approved and then they go to council for approval. We can still bring things up to council, but your minutes never went to council until they were approved by the committee.
Oh, I didn't realize there was a 2-month lag.
Yeah, well, it's ridiculous how long this takes, but that's why I was trying to talk to Doug Robertson about how can the committee put something forward expeditiously? So they suggested a PowerPoint presentation. So whether Mike, I'm not sure how comfortable you are, but you've been gathering a lot of the information on this. So if perhaps some of the information that you've gathered, particularly you went so far as to get a quote, which is excellent. So a presentation to council would have a good effect, and it would be the quickest way to either a delegation or presentation. But if we're still in an electronic format, the presentation would perhaps like a PowerPoint presentation would be easier, as it were. And
Okay, so I would have no problem doing that. Just it brings up a point though. How do you do that? They're not actually meeting in person, right?
no, but if you sent the PowerPoint presentation, it would become part of our council agenda. We've had several presentations come in, so the councilors still get it on their either in a package or during the meeting.
And it's done as a Zoom?
It's done as a PowerPoint presentation, so it would be an attachment, I imagine. I'll try, I can get more information from you. Basically, the idea is that we can present the information that you've gathered, Mike, to council in a presentation. Then council will have received the information. What they do with it then is up to council, but it would move this process forward.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy to do a presentation. One thing though is before we go that route, I guess what I was hoping for was that we would get a warm fuzzy from the council by when you brought it up with them, that would they even be interested in doing this? I guess is it worthwhile if they would just go, no, we're not interested in spending any money to do that. The budget's been done and so we're not going to do it. That's one thing. But if they say, well, we're open to it and we can give them a presentation, that's something different. So it'd be more worthwhile.
I see your point, Mike. I think anytime you present something to council that has a chance of being funded, like I don't know why they would say no. If we qualify for that, the government program that you were referring to, the $5,000, the total outlay on behalf of the village would be
Small.
Dare I say minimal, but even if it's a couple of $1,000s, it puts it in perspective for council how we can move forward on this and we can get electric charging stations. I think particularly if you include the information from or portions of it out of Kingston, it's very compelling what you sent out about the case study in Kingston, I thought anyway.
Yes. So I was thinking, actually, I asked for that information and I was going to bring that up actually, that what was in that case study was very informative. Not only did they talk to the cost and the usage, which was very high, since they put in those charging stations in the Kingston, but also what was interesting was the charging time. And that was one of my biggest issues with the charging stations was that there's 3 levels, as I talked to before. The level 2 was the level that is mostly installed. And level 2 is like a 240 volt charging, which is not the slowest, but it's sort of a medium charge rate. And what happens is typically they talk about 2 to 4 hour charges, depending on the percentage they charge to. What was really interesting from that case study was that of something like 9,000 charges that they had recorded, the average was 2.5 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting because that was my biggest concern. Somebody would plug into our our feeds, and then they would sit there for 4 hours and use up the slot, and nobody else could use it. So if typically people only charge for 2.5 hours, that's reasonable. If it was a level 3 charger, which is a lot more expensive, incredibly more expensive, then you're down to like 20 minutes, half hour.
Okay. So let's remember that we're providing information and not making decisions at this point. So
Right.
Mike, I think the information that you have so far is we share that information. Bob, if you think that some more information is needed, we can do a bit more research on that front. And then if we just had your timelines. Sorry, and I just stepped in as chair, and that's Donna's job tonight, so.
Thank you.
I should mention one thing, that one of the things that's compelling about this is the federal grants, which you just mentioned, Bob.
Yeah.
Right now, the grant that was in happening in 2021, it is closed now. And so you cannot apply for the grant right now. But in the spring of 2022, they are saying that they're going to reopen this program, and it's going to be a wider program. So it's something that we would definitely qualify for. So then the question comes, do we make the effort now, give the presentations, and have it just sit for possibly 2-3 months until the government gets their act together and opens the grant up again? Or do we wait for the grant to open and then do the presentation when they can actually action it?
Mike, to keep in mind, we've got 3 months left on this committee completely, and then we go into summer lockdown or summer shutdown, and then there's an election. So I would recommend, Helen, if you want to make a motion that might do this, and then the work is done. The council, and Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but council gets to where they can't make any decisions either. So getting it in front of them sooner rather than later, they can at least, it's on the record as being discussed.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
and also there's a lot of, it's not even as simple just as Mike doing a PowerPoint. Mike would do a PowerPoint, the committee would have to see the PowerPoint, approve the PowerPoint, and vote to present it to. So, if Mike got the thing ready in a week, 2 weeks from now, we could have a special meeting, as long as we do the preamble, give the notice of a special meeting that we're having to approve that specifically, to try and get it to council. We'll still be lucky to get it to council for the first meeting in May. If you follow how slowly this whole process works. But Doug, if you get an opportunity after the meeting and read the email that Doug sent back, and he made 2 suggestions, either a presentation to council or a PowerPoint presentation, the process that we should follow as a committee to approve it and get it on the agenda for council. And May is spring. Like by the time this hits council, it would be, I believe it's imperative, it's desirable that council is aware of what's coming and how easy this is, rather than, so they can even direct staff to begin at the drop of a hat to pursue any grants available, et cetera. And this could be, a way of moving forward, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is, yes, there's an election coming up, but the economic development officer, this would still be something that probably stays on her radar. And she is there through the election cycle. So she benefits from this information as well. So Donna, you needed me to put forward a motion to, for us to, to recommend that we do the presentation for council.
Mhm.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
We can help. Like, sorry, I shouldn't say we. I can help you if you want. If you want to put together the rough notes, and then I can do a review or be the outsider looking in and going, hey, okay, but what about this? What about that? And we can fill in those gaps too. So that yeah, if you need any support that way, I can do that.
So what I could do, I could put some points together, and then I could just send it to all the committees by email.
Okay.
And then you could have a look at it. I could just do it literally as an email to start with, and then if everybody kind of agrees with content, we can then make up formal slides that we can present
Okay.
later.
I think that would be great moving forward. And Mike, if I can add a suggestion, there's so many buttons that this hits, whether it's tourism, economic development, environment, what you sent from the Kingston experience, they're measuring it in thousands of tons of carbon capture that they're that's being, how would you put it, that they're saving this carbon infiltration by using the electric thing. So it really hits all of the buttons for all of us, I think. So and if we concentrate on that in our presentation, then council can receive this, direct staff to pursue grants, and we'll be in the driver's seat then.
Was there not something recently as well that Kempville is getting a couple charging stations as well?
Kempville does have 2 right now, I know of.
Well, 3, I think they've got 3 now, Mike. Well, there's one at the bowling alley, and I thought there was 2 more around.
So that could be the other angle to this, is that other local communities are doing this, and we don't want to be left out either. So
well, exactly, and as when you get a chance and you can look at the Kingston's summary, it's quite compelling. The argument's quite compelling in terms of how they must have done a lot of data collection to make that report, because they had the average distance that people had traveled to get to Kingston if they weren't from Kingston, et cetera, et cetera. And like people were traveling for, I believe, Mike, you can correct me, but like I think the average was 138 kilometers to get to Kingston, to spend some time there, spend 2.5 hours charging their vehicle, and then go on their way. So it really has it seems to have a very positive benefit.
okay, good.
So the motion on the table is recommend that Mike said do a presentation for CDAC committee to review and present to council. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was motion. So is that moved by Helen and then seconded by?
I'd second it.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Sorry, I said I'm trying to do 3 things at once. Okay, carried. All in favor. I think we're all in favor on that one.
Yes.
Other business update from council.
We've been pretty busy with budgets, as you can imagine. Really, again, there wasn't the Pride, there was no direction from council on the Pride involvement. When our latest minutes go to council that we've approved, then I'll certainly try and talk to it at that time. And I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the direction from the committee was we should investigate what other communities are doing, particularly perhaps get in touch with North Grenville, and should try and find perhaps members of the Pride community in Merrickville to carry the ball on this. Is that
Correct.
where we're at?
Yeah.
It also was to show the flag.
Yes, that's right, and to put the flag up. So that would, yeah, excellent. That was in the minutes as well. So that can be spoke when the minutes are presented. I will definitely, if asked, and I'll try and make sure I am, present what the committee has recommended.
Okay. And then is there any other updates from council other than budget in progress?
We've gone through the initial meetings, and well, it's a draft budget right now. It hasn't been approved, so there's nothing dramatic, I don't believe, in the budget. It'd be nice we have the figures. I'm not sure if you guys remember or not, but the last council, their last budget was a -4. They had a -4%. So it'd be a 4% decrease is what they voted for the last council. Then this council has put forward a 0, a 0.44, and a 0 budget increase. And this year we won't be getting away that cheap. So ultimately we'll see what the numbers are, but it's looking like we will have a budget increase this year. But the council members are trying to hold it. And then you get into the notions of whether you're better to take it out of reserves or through taxation, etc. So we're still trying to, right now, we've been fortunate through the pandemic, but our auditors say that our reserves have improved. We're in better shape reserve-wise. Our paying down our loans, our debt ratio is low. So financially, we're in very good shape. But as everybody knows, everything from fuel to wages and everything else has gone up. So there will be a budget increase this year. I'm anticipating a budget increase, if that helps.
So there's no update on the Pride. We're moving there, update on the budget. So I guess the next item on the agenda is the tiny house homes. Mike?
Can I bring up one point? I'm just curious, Bob. What's happening on the water consultant front? Any issue there?
Nothing, nothing definitive yet, Mike. That's ongoing. Like there's that study. Gosh, I wish I had it right in front of me. I could give you the title of it, but we've received a grant to do studies as well on the system. So
I thought that the council was going to go ahead and get a water consultant in to look at the rates, look at the water and issues.
Yes.
Is that still happening?
That's still ongoing, yeah. Mike, I appreciate that things seem to move at a glacial pace, but it's a case of getting the funds and getting approval from council and then staff securing consultants to perform the task as well. And then you're on their timeline once you've got them, unless they put in strict timelines, but you'll get it when they're done. Okay. Well, that's a good thing. At least they're working on it. Yes. It's again, the biggest change as I think everyone's aware. Oh, that's another thing. Parkview is going to be, they're starting to clear off the land already. Have any of you looked at the Parkview website?
No.
Have you seen what they're going to be charging for the homes on, or at least what they're hoping to get for the homes?
Over 700,000, and I don't understand how they can do that, actually. They presented the plan they presented, they're not holding to that plan at all.
Well, they were looking at, the construction costs is going to increase, but you're right, once they had the land and the approvals, we were hoping to land in the low was 340, but in the 340 to 360 and recognizing maybe a little greater increase, but they're looking at a home, the bungalows, what they're calling bungalow townhomes, $700,000 and more for the 2-story townhomes. So that's some pretty savage pricing right now. But again, for anyone who has had a house on the market during the pandemic, I know in my own personal case in 2020, just before, we had an offer that expired March 13th, 2020, and we had accepted $385,000 for our house. We were very glad that fell through. A few months later, our real estate person said, if you listed it again, you wouldn't be asking 400, you'd ask 470. And then the last time we talked to the real estate agent was last fall, and she was thinking 670 or higher.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's just anecdotal. I know it's not indicative, but it certainly gives me a personal idea of it would have been a disaster if we'd sold our house at 385 and didn't have anywhere to go because we wouldn't have been able to afford to live in this town.
Yeah, and we can't hold Parkview to pricing commitments from 2020 just for multiple, like who knew? No. And you read all the real estate and they're saying like it's 60% increase, it's 80% increase. And so it's just unfortunate that it's been priced so high, but it's good to know that at least it's moving forward and there's going to be more residents in the village, hopefully in 2022. So that's a good thing.
And that's ultimately, kind of in a circuitous way, what will ultimately lower our sewer costs, our water treatment costs, is 25% more users on the system. And that will make a significant difference. This latest rise, again, it was, I'm referring to the previous council, they had the courage to put in a 10% per year increase, which we've all been having to bear. This year, last year we cut it down, this year we're down 5% to get our reserves built up. And the necessity of that is we can't do repairs, even if federal money or provincial money becomes available. An example was the St. John Lewis Street, everything that happened there before the pandemic. We had 1.9 million in grants from the government, from government levels. We still had to come up with over $200,000 out of our reserves. So you're caught in one of those situations where, yes, it's ridiculously expensive for sewer and water here in the village. The solution is coming, hopefully, but it's not going to be fast either, in terms of, we still have to have our reserves, and we need more users, and we need to improve our leakage, if you will, groundwater infiltration, so that we can put more people on the system.
Which goes back to the consultant business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, back on to tiny house homes, back to the agenda. Mike, what have you got for us?
Okay, so the reason why I added that actually just follows through with our conversation we just had. How do we get more people in the village to lower our taxes, lower our water costs? And one of the things that I had sent everyone out was an article that was in the local paper, and it was also on Facebook, this article, and it was the article was about Cornerstone Landing. It's a company who is building tiny homes for people to put on lots, basically, that already had homes. And with the latest approval of the changes to the county bylaws, which allowed multiple primary residences on a lot. That was a change they made. It was approved. But in our Merrickville bylaws, we still show that you cannot do that. So one of the things that this article shows is, I don't know if you actually remember this article, that's what the tiny house looked like. It's quite a very modern looking single bedroom home that basically this company was building, and it's geared towards, in this particular case, to young new homeowners. And basically the idea was that these tiny homes could be built offsite. Algonquin College was building them and for them, and they had students working on the home, so basically everybody wins on that deal. And the tiny homes were built, and the idea was to install them on lots to increase housing density and provide more homes. So my question would be, this is a particular article that they put out. It kind of opened the door, if you like, to having these, tiny homes on lots. And so the question I wanted to ask Bob was, well, first of all, I don't know if you've had a chance to read the article I sent out, but I was wondering if there was any thoughts about it. I think it would be a really good program. And to follow through with Bob, I was wondering if the municipality was enacting the follow through change to the bylaw to allow the multiple housing on a lot, because we'd have to do that before we could get into this whole discussion about tiny homes.
So just a little background. Yes, so the county finished their official plan last year, and it was no sooner approved than an amendment to the county official plan came from the provincial government, the pressures from the provincial government, and it was to permit an additional dwelling structure within an existing structure. So you could put in a granny suite or something within the existing structure, and to permit an additional living space in an ancillary structure. So as Mike says, adding on another basically putting another house on your lot. And certainly we haven't moved forward on that yet. This is still in the stages coming forward. I would be virulently opposed to it. I think it's a terrible idea for Merrickville.
I'm curious. We have a lot of double lots in Merrickville, so it would be easy to do this.
I've never seen anybody split a double lot and stay. That's not true. I've seen one person stay. Most people split it and take the money and run. These aren't double lots that they're splitting. What we've seen, standard lot in Merrickville is 80 by 120. People have split them into 80 by 60 and put 2 houses on their lot. So in my particular case, a corner lot, I could sell off half my lot for, you know, whatever, if I got approval to do it. But again, this is governed by availability of whether or not our sewer system can take it. And it's also, I don't know about whether you notice it or not yourselves, I see people in the summertime walking around taking pictures of homes in Merrickville and just walking around looking, because especially the younger people, a lot of them have never been in a community where every single house is different. And I really fear we're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. The thing that made Merrickville more attractive in the first place is the reason we moved here. If you start jamming small houses beside every existing house in Merrickville. So always, I know it's not going to happen in every single case, but you always look at the worst case scenario. And if we all decided to take advantage of our lot size and get as much as we can for the lots, get our money out of it, put a small home on it, sell our house and get the hell out of town. That's just a scenario that I envision, but that's totally my own take on it. I really think it would destroy the fabric of the village. But that's just me.
What I was wondering about, the other angle on this is in the article that they put out from Cornerstone Landing, they had directed these tiny homes to municipal land. So what's happening is that they're working with, I think it's North Grenville and Kempville, I forget who, or maybe it was Smith Falls, I forget now who it was. One of the municipalities anyways, they're working with them, I think it was Smith Falls actually. They're working with them and they put the tiny homes on municipal land that was vacant. And so basically the cost of the house would come down by a lot because the municipality was donating the land. And so that's an option for us, right? I mean, I'm sure we would have, must be vacant land that we own.
Are we making maybe a motion to council that to be tabled and discussed formally?
That's what I was wondering. Do we want to do like we did with the charging stations, do a little background research and then propose something?
I would, may I ask a question? Are you aware, do we have any vacant land in the municipality, Bob?
I'm searching. The last time we were talking about vacant land at council was regarding the pollinator initiative to plant, basically plant flowers and pollinating plants for bees, etc., on public lands throughout the village. There isn't a great deal of public lands throughout the village. There's some, of course, the sewage treatment plant next to it, but you can't build in front of the cemetery. For example, the Collar Hill Cemetery. That's a lot there. But as I look around the village, there isn't a spectacular amount of municipal
So it's going to
land.
be there about where Toboggan Hill is.
Pardon?
The Toboggan Hill.
Yes, on the,
Quite a bit of land there, right?
but that's private land.
So I wonder if we're getting a little ahead of ourselves on the merits and not, and going back to Donna's question about should we motion something?
I guess the question first is that what does our committee think? Is this something worth pursuing? I guess really that's the first question.
I don't disagree with any additional people moving to the village, but I don't want a village full of tiny homes. We're doubling our population and not expanding, and I don't think our infrastructure can handle it. I don't think that's not what I want to see. It again, it takes away from whole flavor of the village. I'm not personally not opposed to growth, but I think, you know, it's not our our place to be determining how council moves forward. We can make a motion for them to investigate further, but again, you're getting into bed with the developer. That's not something the municipality probably has an appetite for. Like, I don't necessarily know if this is over and above our capacity as a CDAC committee.
Mhm.
Okay. I only bring it up as an item to discuss.
Yeah,
And
no, and again, personally not opposed to growth, but I am opposed to growth for the sake of growth. So it has to be very measured and very controlled and aesthetically suit one of the oldest villages in the country.
And I too think it's an interesting idea. If council would like us to explore it in greater detail, or at least to say, okay, here's some pros and cons. That after a quick review, here's some pros and cons for you to consider moving forward, and then send that over and let them tell us if they need anything more or less. Then we can do that.
So that would be a motion then, Helen. So
Okay.
carry on with your thought there. I'm putting, does council want the CDAC to investigate? Like, we don't really want to get into the nitty gritty, like who's going to build them, or
No,
to investigate maybe other small communities that have built and attracted a tiny home community.
yeah, or maybe, sorry, this is off the top of my head. Possible applications of tiny homes, and so that kind of scales it back to a private investment option, or a business, an Airbnb kind of thing, and then tie in what Mike had said about building homes on municipal lands and providing. So maybe that's our summary to council, or maybe that's something that we can do, is tiny homes can be used for a variety of purposes. Here's something for you to consider going forward.
Let me just, okay, so hang on here.
Just if I could jump in with this suggestion, perhaps the first place to start, as Mike suggested, was finding out, are there municipal lands available within the serviced area of Merrick-Wolford? Are there municipal lands available outside the serviced area?
Is that not pigeonholing things too much?
It's just basically it's just a question. Just, is the land there? The discussion would become moot if there are no municipal lands available.
That's not the original motion, though. The motion is, does the council want the CDAC to investigate other communities that have attracted and built other tiny home communities?
Oh, I apologize. Yeah. Okay. No.
Because
sorry.
we're not, again, it's not up to us to do inventory of municipal lands, right?
Agreed.
Okay, let me just make this sound normal. Okay, so does the council want the CDAC, because what we're doing is we're asking them to say yay or nay. I mean, they could turn around and go, we're already doing it, or we're not interested, or whatever. Does the council want the CDAC to investigate other locations, like I said, in Canada, because I think we need to keep it to Canada, that have attracted and built tiny home communities, and report back on what quantity, like purpose, quantity. Maybe I'll just leave it open-ended without, okay. So motion to council, does the council want the CDAC to investigate locations in Canada that have attracted and built tiny home communities and report back? Plain and simple, right?
Yep.
Does that work for you, Helen? Because you're the one having to make the motion.
Yes, it does. Well
Okay.
said.
Okay, so seconded by,
okay, I would second it.
okay, and then carried, yes. Hey, look at this, 8/22, next meeting date. Do we want to have a meeting sooner rather than later because of that PowerPoint? Is that the hope?
That would be the hope. Yeah.
So when's the next council meeting?
The next one our next council meeting is April 11th. So what if we get a chance to refer to what Doug Robertson had sent me, to try and expedite getting it before council, it would require that Mike Mike's going to be in charge of doing up the PowerPoint. PowerPoint's presented to the committee votes in favor of it. We would need.
We can do that over as an email, right?
That's right, but we would need to have a meeting to pass it. Let me go back, make sure.
It has to get on the agenda too for council, right?
That's it, yeah, so.
Can it get on the agenda and then we do the work?
I guess I'm locked in here. I'm trying to get back to my, to
Because
my
if we can get it on the agenda, Bob,
Yeah.
then that gives time for the three of us with your help to get to work on it, because we need to get that to council by what, the 9th? By the 8th, by Friday?
Oh, gosh, yeah, you mean the, oh, yeah, no, it'll never make the next council meeting. It
Okay.
would have to be the following, you'd need to have it to them a week before. So if we were to get, we were happy with Mike's PowerPoint, approve it by the end of this week. If we have a meeting at the right time, I will get back to you with the exact timing of it. If we could have a very brief meeting to approve the PowerPoint presentation to try and get it on the last, which would be the 25th, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Get it on the council for the 25th, get it on their agenda. So I'll,
Need to have our meeting by when?
so with the
That's
meeting-
18th is Easter Monday.
Mhm.
yeah, so that if we could have the meeting by the previous week,
By next Monday?
well, next Monday's a council meeting at the end of the week. What about middle of the next week? Would it be possible, Mike, to get it together by then? I know it's
Yeah,
very
we
short
can
notice.
start it
but
right away.
We also have to post the meeting times a week in advance, do we not? Do we not have to post our meeting and?
4 days, but it'll be a single agenda, so it's
Yeah.
easy to do.
Yeah, so if we can post it, put up our agenda, have the meeting and you folks vote on it. And then we would try and get it on the agenda. So if we had it done at least a week before the council meeting, then they would have it on their agenda.
So why do we need to make our review meeting public if this will be public at the council meeting anyway?
Well, as committees of council, you're governed by the same rules that council is governed by. So it's
Okay.
the public component of the meeting. The reason that we're live on YouTube is that so that people can sit in on the meeting. Not sit in on it, but they can listen to it live. People can, if you have the meeting in the council chambers, the public is allowed to attend the meeting as well. They can't participate unless you ask someone to do a presentation, but they can observe the meeting. So it's all part of
Okay.
transparency.
Okay, yeah,
no,
and I understand all that when it's a public meeting. I just thought, like, because our next meeting is basically a review session, right? A review of a presentation?
You're still a committee of council.
Okay,
So it would have to follow the same rules that council has to follow.
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense then.
So a week before the 25th is when
So
we
this-
have to have it ready for, right?
If we had a meeting on the 13th, which is next Wednesday, does that give you time? We have our meeting, there might be the odd change recommendation. If we have it done by 15th is Good Friday, if we would have to get it to council, like at the absolute latest on the 19th of April, which is 4 business days before the council meeting. So our drop dead date is the 19th.
Yeah.
To get it in front of council.
So, okay, so you guys would approve. So yeah, so I'm going to find out if that is in fact true, if that will work for 19th of April. So that would be when it would have to be voted on by the committee and approved and sent on to council. Okay, so I'll make sure that that's factual. If it's not, I shall get back to you as soon as possible.
Do you
So
want to
Mike,
set our next meeting for the 13th then?
Works for me.
Wednesday?
Yeah,
Helen,
that
does that
works.
work for you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so why don't we do that?
Okay, so the 13th, and then are we still going to do one 2 weeks after that to maintain this schedule, or we don't need to do that?
Well, the meeting on the 14th is going to be solely as a working meeting. So we're going to schedule 1 hour to go through Mike's work.
Okay,
And then we need to stick to our regular schedule because there will be updates from council on Pride. There will be updates
okay,
from Yeah, so that gets us back on. So then our next meeting from there would still be the 2nd of May.
Okay, I have a conflict for the 2nd of May. Oh, let me double check that. Let me, yes, I have a conflict for the 2nd. Can we do the following week?
And you've got, yeah, because that's not the long weekend. So we could do the night, but that could be council meeting though. That's a
Let's
council
see,
night,
11
unless we
yes.
move to the, what about if we move to Tuesday, the 3rd,
I can do Tuesday the 3rd.
right?
Yep, works for me.
Bob?
Yep.
Somebody remember that for our next meeting then on the 13th. We'll move it.
Tuesday
Because-
the 3rd?
Yeah, because I think the 9th would be a council meeting and then Bob can't make it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the 2nd. Yeah, so ours is the 11th here. Hang on, I'm trying to bring May up here. Come on.
I've got a calendar up here. I don't know if you guys can see it still on the monitor.
No, it's hiding. Hang on a second.
Oh,
So our
okay.
council meetings in May will be the 9th and the 23rd.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll have to move it, Helen, to the 3rd. But
Okay,
I've got
okay.
on here our next meeting date will be Wednesday, April 13th.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I still can't start any earlier. Like I was wolfing down supper and wrapping up some work stuff when I got home from the rake. That's why I was scrambling to be on time. So 7:30 is still a good start time.
Yep.
Works for me.
And all right, cool.
So we're just, sorry to clarify. So we're going to have an ad hoc meeting. We're just going to deal with the presentation on the 13th of April.
Correct.
And we'll have a very brief Zoom meeting at 7:30
Mhm.
on the 13th of April. And then the regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, May 3rd at 7:30.
Right.
Okay, good, thanks. And I will get back to the committee if there's any changes or if Doug Robertson has any other suggestions about getting it onto the council agenda. I'll be communicating with you by email.
Okay, and I'm just gonna make a note here Tuesday. All right, we are 8:30, adjournment, motion to adjourn, anybody?
Yeah, I'll motion that.
All right.
And thank you. Can I
would
just
second that.
add? Thank you for doing such a wonderful job and stepping in today. Next week, next time I'll know what the heck is happening with the 2 windows and the feedback.
Well, it's working well, and you should actually, I should actually find out exactly what you did because other committees are running into that as well. So as you were saying, so you have to, it's a conflict of browsers.
Yeah. It's the YouTube is opening up in Microsoft Edge.
Oh, good to know. I'm gonna write that down because
Edge
we're
and
not the
Google
only
don't-
people.
Yeah, Edge and Google don't like each other. Okay,
what
let
do you do?
me,
You shut down the edge then, and that's how it clears it?
Yes, I shut down Edge. And then it fixed that. Yeah. So that seems to have done the trick. I'll get this down pat by September.
Yeah,
so Helen, I have a question for you because if I did not realize that the minutes needed to, like, we're almost 2 months behind. So I think there might have been a lag in what, and that explains what Doug Robertson was asking for. Now that we're kind of off the agenda, I think we can sort this out. Do we need to still be on YouTube for this or, because this is our procedural?
I don't think so, but I'm not boss of protocol. That's Bob.
yeah, this is just a procedural question. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same thing, sort of thing we could discuss
Okay,
so we could probably go off. What, has the meeting been adjourned and voted on?
yes, and motioned and seconded by Mike, carried, and everybody voted yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it done on time.
So you can-
So
Perfect.
I guess my question then is, Helen, I did not realize when I sent in the minutes to Doug and he emailed me back going, they aren't the right ones. I'm going, yeah, they are, not realizing that he wanted approved minutes. So there might be a lag
Okay.
for what Tom did.
Okay. Can you hang on 1 second? I just want to clarify. So I think you need to stop us from being on YouTube.
I have no idea how. I've never gone on there. I have no idea.
So
You'll have
if you, because I gave you control of the meeting, so try down at the bottom. Do you see
Yeah.
3 dots?
no.
Anything about live?
Try this. I've got copy streaming link or view stream. This happened the last time and I've never done that. And
Alright.
I'm not, yeah, so you'll need to take back control.
Okay, let me figure out how I can do that. Participants. Or we can just continue with recording on this. I don't know how view stream, copy streaming link. Those are the only two options I have right now.
Me as well. That's all
Okay.
I've got. And the issue is, I know the last time, like you emailed me like the next day saying it was still on there. I have
Can
never,
you actually, can you give me control back? I think you
I don't
need
know how to do that. I'm trying.
Okay.
Where did you do that?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't have the same options anymore because I don't have control. It was at the when I signed out, it asked me if I wanted to give control.
No, I think here I'm looking through all
Okay.
the apps. No, because I never signed in. Uh,
Well, does it really matter? We're only going to discuss how we get
Yeah.
the current.
yeah,
version.
I'm just looking at the clock here too, and I'm trying to wrap up in time because
Okay,
I have
that's fine.
work to get back to.
Yep. Okay.
So
So procedure.
my question was, was an unknown lag in,
Mhm.
so I don't know where those last minutes are that Tom would have done. I never sent them in. So I'm
Okay.
realizing now from what Bob was saying is I had sent in the meeting minutes, but not realizing he was actually looking for February's that had been approved in March.
Oh, okay. See, okay. I
But
didn't realize he was
I didn't know
looking
what
for
he
those.
was talking about because I'd never sent them in before. So I just kind of dumped that one
Okay.
back on you.
I will see if they were sent to me and not to the whole group. If not, I'll follow up with Tom because he would have them and just hadn't forward them because he didn't attend the last meeting. Normally, when he attends the meeting, he sends them out in advance. So I think maybe because, yeah, anyway, so I'll chase them down.
So that's February's meeting minutes you're trying to chase down. And now that we've approved March's, I will send those in. And then I will circulate tonight's just to the committee and
Okay.
not send them off to mayor and CEO like I did last time. So that was completely my misunderstanding. I do need to go. I have to get back to work. I've got a heavy due date in the morning that I'm still,
Okay.
I've got some numbers to look at. So
Okay.
I have no idea how to stop this YouTube.
No problem. I think if we all sign up, that should probably cut the feed, and then I'll double check and see if I can figure it out on my end as well. So
Okay.
Thank you for your help tonight. Great
Yeah.
seeing you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
You bet.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. All right. Wish
Bye,
me luck in your
everyone.
numbers.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.